Good morning guys, and welcome to my second video on the 12 by 12 challenge. In this challenge, I'm going to be reading 12 books recommended by 12 friends, and the first 3 I already finished, so it is time now in the month of April to pick up our 4th book.
It's coffee time!
Normally, I let Destiny tell me which book I am going to be reading, but since April is Old School April and it is organized by Kelsey at Slimes and Slashers, I always love to participate, and there is a book that she recommended for this year's prompts, and that is the same book that she recommended me for the 12 by 12 challenge, so I thought I have no other choice this month but to actually choose the one that I'm gonna be reading, and that is Neles by Sydney Williams. I love this cover so much, like I cannot even tell you how much I love this cover. It's absolutely everything. This is a re-release of the book, so it's currently available on Amazon. But I'm guessing that the original paperback was like a small mass market paperback. This is big, but at least I can have a copy of it. And like I said, I just wanted this cover. Look at it, look at it, look it. It's amazing. It's one of the best covers ever, and I'm really excited to get to this one because I don't even know what to expect. I think honestly this is just going to be fun, so I need to embrace the cheesiness and the fun side of things, because this is about a little girl that likes a specific TV show, and I think her toys that are from that TV show come to life or something like that. We follow this little girl that is 4 years old, and she loves the TV show called Neles, and she loves the Neles and she's really obsessed with them. So the Neles were these little cute green creatures that she was obsessed with, and they were kind and they were nice until they weren't. Until they turned evil and they, wanted to harm her. So I'm really excited. It almost sounds like Gremlins in a way, you know what I mean? So I don't know what to expect, but I'm here for the ride. So, let's get to this baby. If I bleed tonight, if I am sad tonight, I don't have a job to find. And if I work tonight, if I'm so tired tonight, I'll fall asleep when I'm home, when I'm home. Good day guys, and welcome to another great rainy day in the Netherlands. I'm hoping that by the time May and June come around, I'm finally gonna have some sun over here. That's hopeful thinking, but today we're here to start our next book for my 12 by 12 challenge. And I thought I would sit in the living room because I have a lot better natural lighting, even when it's kind of like cloudy outside, because the windows in the living room are much bigger, so I get better light than on my reading room. So we're here to start. And because it's still Old School April, what a better book to pick for this month than Neles. You guys already knew I was gonna read this one this month, and I'm really excited to dig into it. Honestly, I don't know what to expect. I'm hoping, even if it's cheesy or there's humor in it, I'm hoping it's going to be something that I enjoy, and I'm here for the ride. So I'm just gonna sit down now with my coffee, start reading it, and I'll let you know once I have my first thoughts on the book.
I was just so far from here, focused on my own way, with never looking back to those who lived in fear. There was nothing I could do, there was nothing you said.
First thoughts on Neles. I only read a couple of chapters, but I wanted to let you know a bit more in depth, I guess, what the book is about. So we follow Gabrielle, and she is recently divorced and lives together with her 4-year-old that is about to turn 5. And the kid normally loves the Neles, which are these cartoons that kids love, and they're supposed to be like wholesome and fun and always in adventures. But then the daughter Heaven has a nightmare about the Neles, and she feels like the Nelf King is coming for her to kill her with a pitchfork. And she's absolutely terrified. She wakes up her mom in the middle of the night screaming because she had this nightmare about the Nelves. And since that nightmare, Heaven has not been able to watch the cartoons anymore. So I like that there is a kind of a conversation about cartoons for children and things that might be scary for kids, or things that, you know, are supposed to be cute and fun but can look terrifying to kids. And also how there's so much merchandising and a lot of exploitation and, you know, taking advantage of kids' obsessions about cartoons. And we've all been there. We've all been kids obsessed about cartoons, and I can imagine how, you know, hard it is for the parents because there is merchandising everywhere. And also they push even like cereals, you know, they put the characters in the boxes to make the kids want them, even though those are full of sugar, maybe not great for kids. So I kind of love that conversation. I was not expecting to get that from a book like this. But yeah, Heaven has been having these issues with the elves. And also the mother, Gabrielle, has just met a new guy. And so Gabrielle thinks at the beginning, okay, maybe these nightmares about the elves is because the divorce, you know, the father is gone. He moved to a different state because of work. So the kid is just still going through it. So maybe that's why she has these nightmares. It's kind of like based on trauma maybe, and now there's this new guy, so that's why she had another nightmare, you know, because she's scared that there's this new man in their lives. Like, she thinks these nightmares might be kind of based in trauma, so she's considering to take her kid to see a therapist to see if there's something buried deeper into the kid's psyche that it's causing this fear, this sudden fear for the elves, because nobody else can explain it, because these are supposed to be happy, heartwarming cartoons that everybody loves. All the kids love them. So the mom thinks maybe this is kind of, you know, she's acting out because of trauma. So that's how far I've gotten, and actually I'm enjoying it. I like this premise. It's a lot more serious, I guess, than I was anticipating. So far I'm enjoying it.
You were like a ransom note. If I give in, will you come home? I put everything I had into getting you back. I was only 17, and you were the air I breathed. I walked across a burning bridge for you, for you. Those roads we walked, I'll know forever. Those times we talked, I still remember. Is it not enough that I played with my heart once, twice? If I'm blind to who you are, which of us was behind bars? Oh, were you worth the price I paid? Your ransom.
Just chilling here with the boys. There they are. And I wanted to show you something that I just got in the mail, because, you know, sometimes I get something that it's not bugs but it's still horror. It's still horror. I got a new game called White Day, and this is a Korean survival horror, and I saw it the other day. It's getting a part 2 really soon, so I was like, why not? Let's try it. So I got the PS5 edition because it comes with a lot more costumes and stuff. I think that's the only kind of like DLC that it has. It's just 30 plus costumes, it says here. But it's a labyrinth named School. So we're in a school and in Korea, and I'm guessing something or someone wants to kill us. So I thought I would install this, and I could play this also for the Old School April, because playing video games is something that I used to do a lot when I was growing up. Not so many horror ones, even though I did play like Resident Evil and things like that. But I used to play a lot of video games, so I thought that would be cool. So I can keep reading my book, Neles, but I can also have a bit more intense horror experience with the game. Hi, honey. Yeah, you've been sleeping a lot. Yeah, so many nappies. So many nappies. Oh. Yeah? Oh my god, the sun is coming out in April. Oh my god, what's happening? Neles. Update time. So I've been reading a little bit more, and actually I did not expect this book to go the route that it's going. So basically we're still following, of course, Gab and the new boyfriend Tanner. I mean boyfriend, they're dating, okay? But he's a writer, and he talks about his books and things that he wants to do, and we like him, okay? So far we like him, and Heaven also likes him. So Heaven is having worse and worse nightmares to the point where she's able to see the Gnells coming for her, wanting her blood while she's awake. Now, the downside of that is even though she can see them and she's really scared of them, nobody else can see them. So she knows that her mom is not going to believe her. So we have that kind of trope, you know, of the kids saying, you know, the Gnells are coming for me, they want to hurt me. And then the mom is like, what are you talking about? Because she cannot see them. But then one day, and I mean, I'm only on page 68, like I'm not even too far and it's not a spoiler. But one day, Gab is having dinner at home with her date, Tanner, the new potential boyfriend that we like so far. So far no red flags from him, but who knows. So they're having dinner and Heaven is playing, and suddenly they realize that she's screaming, and she's screaming that they're coming for her and they don't know what's going on. The issue is obviously Heaven is the only one that can see the Gnells coming for her, but then they cut her, and when they cut her, they do cut her in real life. So basically, Gab is looking at her daughter, and suddenly a cut appears in her daughter's body, and then another one. And they have to rush her to the hospital. And, you know, they were commenting themselves in the book, oh, this is how The Exorcist starts. You know, what if she's possessed? What is going on? How is it possible that she got cuts just by standing still, you know, because again, they're not able to see the Gnells, which are the ones that actually hurt the child. So it's very interesting because they are kind of like trying to figure out what's going on, if it's kind of some sort of like power that she has, but why would she hurt herself? So Gab doesn't know what to do. She's scared for her daughter because she doesn't know what's going on with her. She knows that she's probably going to have to take her to some sort of specialist because something's wrong with her. And yeah, I'm really intrigued about this and see how this is going to go. There's another character that has been introduced, but we don't know much about this guy. We have only seen the character traveling so far. I'm guessing he's gonna be important for the story at some point, but so far there's not much that we know about him. So 68 pages only, and I'm already really invested, and I'm loving it more than I thought I would. So far this is a promising book. I'm also hoping to love it, not gonna lie, because I love this cover so much. Even if I hate the book, I don't think I could get rid of my copy because this cover is just one of my favorites ever.
I can feel it now, the love is sending down through the skies, your beautiful halo. I caught you chasing the sun as I was chasing the one. We never looked back from our lover road. You showed me love before heaven called to take you home. I vowed I'd treasure an eternal love in our last few seconds. I vowed to never lose your heart.
I have finished Neles by Sydney Williams, so I am here to tell you what I thought about the book. I did not expect this book to be the way that it was, if it makes sense. It's like Gremlins meets The Exorcist, and for some reason I did not expect it to go like that, which is not a bad thing because honestly this book was a lot of fun, and it almost turned into a cult religious horror, which is, you know, something that it was not expected. But nevertheless, I had fun. There is a character that I really enjoyed here, which is Danube, and he is kind of like the one that comes to save everybody. He felt to me like the typical detective, I mean, here kind of priest, I guess, expert on the matter, that is very like cocky and arrogant because they have been doing this for so long. They know what they're doing and they're determined to finish the job and banish all evil, and I really enjoyed him as a character. As the story moves forward, the Neles become more and more dangerous to the family, and they're really desperate to try to figure out what's going on and to be able to, you know, save themselves from this evil. But in order to do that, they have to understand where the Neles come from. Why are they targeting their family, and specifically Heaven, the little girl? And it ends up being quite like almost fantastical. I really enjoyed the kind of climax of the book. The ending might not be something for everybody, but I feel like if you are approaching a book like this, you need to expect weird. And like I said, think Gremlins meets The Exorcist in a way, but it was a lot of fun. I did not expect to have as much fun with this one as I did. So honestly, this was a great read. I think for me though, I was expecting it to be more like toys come to life situation, which it wasn't, but it doesn't mean that I did not enjoy it. So I thought, you guys, because we finished the book, we can already pick the next name. We can pick the next book for my 12 by 12 challenge, the book that I will be reading during the month of May. So we need the assistance of my little planter with all the names still inside. We're gonna give it a good shaky shake. And let's see which one I get. I'm excited. Okay, this one. Let's see what we get. 12 Nights at Rother House, and this was recommended to me by Nakia from Nakia's Hideaway, so I'm gonna try this one in the month of May. 12 Nights at Rother House by J.W. Ocker, and I've been really excited about this one because this is the book that Nakia recommended to me, and normally we have such different taste in books. Books that I love she didn't like, and the other way around, so it's very funny. And I want to know what's the deal about this book. I had heard about it before. I know she really loved this book, and honestly it sounds really good, and it's a book that I had on my radar anyway, so I am really excited that I get to read this one this month. All I know is that our main character is a travel vlogger or something like that, but he specializes in creepy places to visit. So he always investigates possible creepy haunted locations, and his journey has taken him to this house that is supposed to be haunted, and he intends to spend there 2 full weeks to see if the place is actually haunted and write about it, you know, and recommend it for travelers, stuff like that. So it sounds like a perfect book for me when it comes to the synopsis, so I'm really excited to read this one. I'm also going to try to read this book in the next 2 days because I don't have much time left this month to get this done, and I am kind of on a deadline. So I'm going to try to binge this book in 2 days, tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. So I'm going to be sitting with this tomorrow. I'll see you all during my coffee time in the morning, and we will start the book together. Good morning, guys. I look deceased, dead. But this is what we're working with today. I am exhausted. It is the end of the month and I have so many things to finish. And one of the things that I need to finish before the month ends, obviously, is the 12 by 12 challenge book for the month. So here we are today trying to binge read this book. I'm also hoping that me forcing myself to read this book in 2 days is not going to make me not enjoy it, because sometimes when we try to binge something because we have to finish it, sometimes we don't enjoy the experience as much as maybe we would have if we would have read the book at our own pacing. But I'm hoping that's not going to be a detriment to the book. On the positive side, I have coffee. The weather is poop, but we can get cozy with our book. You guys know I'm gonna be reading 12 Nights at Rother House by J.W. Ocker. It's going to be my introduction to the author, and I'm really excited about this one. You guys know I love books about, paranormal investigators, people that visit creepy, kind of haunted places to try to figure out if it's true or not. It's always so intriguing and interesting, and also, brings up the question of, is it true everything these paranormal investigations find out? Is it faked? Is it staged? It's always really interesting. Also, are people pretending this house is haunted because of tourism or to attract people to it, to the town, whatever? We never know. So this guy is a travel vlogger, but like I said, he looks for these creepy haunted places to visit, and then he writes about it, and he's spending 12 nights in this place. And I believe the book is divided in the 12 different nights that he spends there. And I also love that idea. I just love books that are like divided in chapters like that, or sections, like day 1, day 3, or even books that are going backwards. Maybe you only have 24 hours to get out of somewhere and the book starts 24 hours, 12 hours, you know what I mean? I love that when we are giving kind of like a deadline, or when it's split in nights you spend somewhere. I think it makes it a little bit more kind of tense, and the suspense is more there because you're kind of living it with a character. So I'm really excited about this book, and I have already placed my bookmark halfway through the book because my intent is to read half of it today. It's quite doable because the halfway point for this book is 135 pages, and I think that's quite doable in one day. That is kind of novella length. Now, I am reading this physical, and normally it takes me a little bit longer to read physical books than to read ebooks. That has been a new discovery I have made. But I think it's doable in one day, and then I can finish the rest tomorrow and feel accomplished because I have finished the book for this challenge. And I'm really, really praying that I love this book, not just because many people have praised it and it's been on my list for a long time, but because this is Nikea's recommendation and I am desperate to find another book that we both love. We both read together The Only One Left by Riley Sager, and we both loved that book, which has been kind of like a really weird experience because she didn't expect to love that book. I didn't expect to love it as much either, and somehow it ended up being such a great read. We buddy read that one, and just desperately looking for another book that we both love because our tastes tend to be quite different. And so I just want to have more books in common with her that we both love. So this is basically, I'm just praying, okay, you guys? I'm just praying. So let's sit down, let's read a little bit of these, and let's see how it is. Wish me luck.
This night is cold in the kingdom. I can feel you fade away. From the kitchen to the bathroom sinking. Your steps keep me awake. Don't cut me down, bring me out. Leave me here to waste. I once was a man with dignity and grace. Now I'm slipping through the cracks of your cold embrace. So please, please, could you find a way to let me down slowly? A little sympathy, I hope you can show me. If you wanna go, then I'll be so lonely. If you wanna go, let me down slowly. Let me down. Cold skin, drag my feet on the tile as I'm walking down the corridor. And I know we haven't talked in a while.
Hello guys, so today is day 2 in which I am attempting to read this book in 2 days. So far so good. Yesterday I made it to page 145, so I am officially halfway through. I have finished up until night 5, and I'm really enjoying the experience of reading like night by night to see how things increase or how things change the longer that this guy is inside of the house. But let me tell you my thoughts so far up until halfway through. The book starts with a very intriguing opening line. That line is, "I had to get into the house." Sold. Don't you love it when a book starts with a sentence that you're like, I'm in, tell me more about it. So this is one of those cases, and this is a paranormal investigation, and those books tend to be a hit or a miss for me. I feel like same with the movies that are about paranormal investigators, they might be a hit or a miss for me. And so far this one has been such a good experience. This might be one of my favorite paranormal activity books so far, but I'm only halfway through, so we shall see what the other half brings. I'm expecting there's a lot more gonna happen in the second half, and as we all know, endings can always make or break a book. This book is very descriptive, which at the beginning it really allows you to be able to feel what it is to be inside of the rooms of the house. So this guy wanted to explore the house and figure out if there are ghosts inside, if this place is haunted, and he actually did reach out to the actual owner of the house at the moment that is trying to sell the house, and the owner reluctantly kind of agrees to let him in. She thinks maybe the publicity will be good to sell the place or turn it into an attraction maybe and make money out of it, because right now it's just a money pit that is not giving her any money. So she's like, you know what, here's the key, good luck. So this guy goes in and he's determined not to leave the house for the whole, I think it's 14 nights or 14 days that he is planning to stay there, and he's not gonna leave the place at all. So he takes some food, drinks, like things with him that he's probably gonna need, knowing that he's not gonna leave because he feels like that's the best way of having the experience and the experiment that he wants. Which I understand, because if you leave the house, go to the grocery shop and come back, kind of like the tension, the mystery, everything kind of leaves, you know, so I kind of understand. So the house has no electricity. He brings like a ton shit of batteries and all of his equipment, and he doesn't have much time to explore the first night. He's just, you know, trying to find a spot where he's gonna be able to sleep. He plans to sleep mostly during the day, obviously, so that then at night, when, you know, the ghosts are supposed to be around, which, you know, if there are ghosts during the day or during the night, but we all know nighttime is the time where maybe they shine. So he's trying to do the majority of his investigation obviously at nighttime. He thinks also if he takes pictures and video, it's gonna be much better at night, because it's gonna be more creepy and he might be able to detect something with the cameras. So he's getting ready, setting up everything. During night 2, we get to discover a little bit more of the background of this place, who built the house. It was a guy that had a business, like a furniture business, that started with chairs, and so we get a little bit of an insight of who owned it, what happened to that person, why people believe this place is cursed and haunted, and I always love to know the background of haunted places. So while Felix is investigating and doing some research on the owner, he hears a knock on the door, the outside door, and he's like, who knows I'm here? Who could be? Well, turns out it's Tom, one of his best friends that believes in ghosts and doesn't like the idea of getting into this haunted house, but he's doing it as a favor for Felix to help him with his investigation. There's a point where we learn more about the different rooms and the name that the rooms in the house were given and the reasons why, and I really enjoyed it. And from the moment that Tom is introduced, I think it gets even more interesting, because now you have the dynamic between two characters that used to be really good friends, and Tom is against what Felix is doing, but he wants to help him really bad, so that's why he's there. But Tom believes in ghosts, and Felix, even though he's the one doing the paranormal investigation, doesn't believe in it. So it is quite an interesting setup. We also learned that actually Felix found this house watching a horror movie. So he was watching a horror movie one day, and it was one of those really low budget B horror movies, and the movie was shot inside of the Rotter house. And he learned a little bit about this place and decided that he needed to spend some nights there because he really wanted to include this place in his next book. Night 3, they decide to do something stupid, and that is, now that Tom is there, Felix is like, you know, now that we're 2 here, why don't we use the Ouija board? When was that a good idea in a horror movie? Never. In the history of forever. Never a good idea. But anyway, let's move on to night 4. Night 4 was super interesting for me. It was one of my favorite parts because in night 4, our main characters are discussing the possible existence of ghosts and why or why not ghosts exist. And like I said before, because you have a character that is a believer in ghosts and the other one is a non-believer, then the conversation gets really, really interesting, and there's all of these pros and cons. There's also a lot of mentions to horror, you know, like cultural references to horror, and I really enjoy those parts as well. So this night was one of my favorites because I thought that conversation was very, very interesting. Do you guys believe in ghosts? Let me know down below. Let's start a conversation here. Night 5 is also amazing. I think the book is just getting better and better. So night 5, they decide to take pictures from all the different rooms in the house to see if there's any good pictures. At the end of the day, I think Felix is only allowed to put around 10 pictures in the book, in the final product, but he wants to get the absolute best pictures, if possible one that makes people see a shadow, you know, an orb, something that, you know, would tell them that there was a ghost there, this place is really haunted. And it gets super interesting because they start talking also about all the tropes about the haunted houses and all of the things that make a place haunted and why is it dangerous. And I don't know, they go over like several tropes of a haunted house and rules and things you should do and shouldn't do. And it was so interesting as a horror lover. So I think this book is kind of perfect for horror fans, even if paranormal books or haunted houses books are not your preferred subgenre of horror. I feel like this one is gonna be perfect anyway. And for me, I'm really having a good time here, so I cannot wait to see what happens the rest of the nights. I don't know what's gonna happen, to be honest. I still have no predictions or anything. I'm just expecting something supernatural to actually happen. Still, things are a little bit like, you know, when you watch a paranormal investigation show and there are things that supposedly are happening, but they could be a product of your imagination, or it could be because you really want to see something and then you see it because you want to. I hope I'm making sense. But it feels much like that. Like things are being mentioned and possible things are being seen, and you're like, is it their imagination? Is it because it's the middle of the night and they see shadows? Is it because they had some alcohol and maybe they are imagining things? Or are things really truly there? Which is the basic pillar of paranormal investigation. So people that believe and people that don't believe, you know, seeing the same thing might actually have different opinions on what they're seeing. So I hope that makes sense. I try to explain as best as I could. But you know, it's the difference between like being in the same room at the same time, but one person wants to believe and the other one doesn't want to believe, and then the experience that you will have and the things that you will see are probably completely different, even though you're in the same space at the same time. I hope that made it clearer and not even more confusing, but I tried. I have officially finished 12 Nights at Rotter House by J.W. Ocker, so I'm here to let you know my last thoughts on the book. So I really don't want to talk too much about the last chapters that I had left in the book because I really don't want to ruin the experience and the twists and turns from the story. What I will tell you is this is a very unique and interesting take on a haunted house story. I do believe it is light on the horror. Don't get me wrong, there's many little scenes where there's a lot of tension and atmosphere and you're not sure what's going on, what they're seeing, what's there, what's not. Like, there is a little bit of that, but I do feel like even though we do get a couple of creepy moments and there are some disturbing things that happen in the book that actually are nothing related to horror, but there is some disturbing stuff that is talked about in the book. I do still feel like this is lower on the horror side of things, but nevertheless, this has been one of my favorite haunted house stories I have ever read, and I think what I have learned from this experience is that I really enjoy haunted houses books that are very different. I really loved House of Leaves and other books like that that are so different. And I decided to give this one a 4. I don't think it is an absolute favorite of mine, but would I reread this one? Possibly. This is a book that I'm open to reread, that I'm open to comment with people about. Like, it is also a great book for horror fans in general, because even though I did say that the horror is light, in my opinion, but there is so much commentary about horror tropes and horror movies, and the characters also play a game that is related to horror movies. Plus, I consider this book to be a little bit meta, because I think the characters are very much aware of, you know, the horror tropes and the things, and they discuss them and all. So I ate that shit up because I love books, as you guys know, that have horror references, talk about other horror movies, horror books, and I really enjoy that part. They even talk about people splitting up in horror movies and how that works, or why is it done in horror. Like, they go a little bit into detail in those conversations, and I love that for me. As they spend more and more nights in the house, they keep having conversations about the possible existence of ghosts, but I also felt like their conversations between Felix and Thomas that were friends, I felt like they felt very like organic, and I really was like interested to know more about their friendship, and they do got a little bit more into detail on why were they friends, why did they have fights in the past, stuff like that. So it goes a little bit into their friendship. But yeah, I don't want to spoil anything else. I did see one thing coming related to one of the twists that comes later on in the book, so I did suspect that, but I think it was really well done, and I think the way that they did that reveal worked really well. I was satisfied with the ending of the book, so I would definitely recommend this book to people that are looking for a unique and fresh take on a haunted house story. And for some reason, I feel like people that enjoyed Kill Creek by Scott Thomas might also really enjoy this one. It's another book, Kill Creek, that I think horror lovers will always enjoy. So I think even if you are not a horror lover, though, you can enjoy these books as well. I just mention it because me, as somebody that really loves the genre in all formats, you know, books, movies, and video games, when there's references to movies in books and there's games about horror movies, and they talk about the horror tropes and all of that, that just gives me so much joy. And I love to see the characters debating on those things. It's just a lot of fun. And I'm also so happy to report that I really enjoyed this book. And it is another book that I enjoyed that Nakia also enjoyed, which is rare. It's a rare occurrence. So I'm really happy that she recommended this one to me, because this one did work really well for me. And now we have another book in common that we both enjoy. Like I said, it's not easy. We are on the same level of many things in life and all of that, but when it comes to book taste, we're not always like we don't always see eye to eye. So it was great to find another common book, you know, another book that we both really enjoyed. We are officially in June. Welcome. Summer is supposed to be here, but in the Netherlands the weather says otherwise. However, I'm gonna try not to let that stop me from enjoying the beginning of summer. It's the 1st of June, and it's also time to see which book I have to read for the 12 by 12 challenge in the month of June. My little planter, as always, is going to help me to choose the book that I'm gonna be reading in the month of June. So we always give it a good like shake. And let's see, we still have a lot left. Okay, I have one. Let's see. The Miracle Scene by Marcus Hawk. And this was a recommendation by Sharon Joy Reads, my friend Sharon. So this is the one that I'm gonna be reading, and I think she recently posted about this because she has received, I think, a hoodie or a t-shirt from this book. So I'm really excited to read it, since I think this was the one that she mentioned is one of her favorite religious horror books. So I'm really excited because I don't read so much like religious horror, but it's something that I also do enjoy myself. Let's go over to the book and let's get started. Good morning, guys. It is time to start reading Miracle Sin. It is quite of a chunky book, I have checked, and it's around 500 pages, like almost, I think it's 478, which is a very long book for me. The good news is that this one is on my Kindle, and I do tend to read ebooks a little bit faster, so pray for me. But I do hope that I connect with the characters or enough with the story to keep me pushing forward, because when I read such a chunky book, I'm always scared that I'm not gonna be enjoying it and I'm just going to force myself to finish it. Especially for this video, because I feel like in this video, because I am reading books that were recommended to me, I feel like I need to give them a fair chance. I feel like I need to get to the end, because sometimes things might turn around halfway through, the tone of the book might change, or the ending might make the whole book make sense and save it. You never know. So I am determined to finish all the books, and I don't want to DNF any of these books for this project of the 12 by 12. So wish me luck, but first of all, we're gonna have some coffee and some breakfast. We have a full cat tree. We have Lilith. We have Logan chilling over here, and all the way up we have more views. Also, this is my new addiction. I have found these plant-based Greek yogurt, and I used to love Greek yogurt, and then I didn't have it anymore when I went vegan. So now I have this option, and honestly, it's gonna be the death of me because I need to have it now every day. And I have some fresh berries that I love to put on my yogurt. I also have fresh brewed coffee, so perfect breakfast coming up. In the story, we follow Mason, and he lives with Rose, and she is kind of like a fortune teller, or she has a thing for fortune telling, especially the reading of the palms. And Mason is a guy that is behind in life. Like, he feels everybody has their shit figured out, everybody knows where they're gonna go to college, everybody has their future planned outside of this small town except him, and he knows he's gonna stay behind in this small town. He's very insecure, for what I can gather, and he has a very regular, boring job. And one day, while he's working at a gas station, you know, he puts gas and, you know, takes care of the shop of the gas station. So one day, a mysterious car comes to the gas station to obviously get gas, but the guy sees that Mason was reading Shakespeare, and he asks, oh, do you like to read, this and that? And he then pulls out a Bible, a very interesting black Bible with some interesting cross and signs. And Mason says he's not religious and he thinks he's stupid, that it's all about fictional characters, you know, he doesn't believe in it. And then this man tells him to give it a shot, that everybody sometimes is gonna need, you know, some kind of rescue, and he can find that in the Bible, and he ends up giving this Bible to him for free. That's how far I made it. I still have a long way to go. I still have 5 hours and 50 minutes left because, like I said, it's a chunker, but I will be giving you updates as I go. I'm going to keep this as always spoiler free, but I will give you as many updates as I can so that you can get a better idea of the book. So far, the writing is really good, very descriptive, but it's good. The first chapters are really getting me to understand Mason and who he is as a person by simple things he does in his everyday life, and those things are letting me understand who he is. I feel like I kind of know him already a little bit, so that proves that the character writing is pretty good. So let's keep reading. You guys have an update. First of all, it's a couple of hours later. I had a shower, washed my hair, had lunch, finished work, all of those good things, and then I sat down to read a little bit more. I'm also getting used to this controller to turn the pages on my Kindle, and it's actually very comfortable to use. I still need to get like a stand so I don't even have to touch the Kindle, so that's the next thing that I would like to order off of Amazon. But this is great if you want to turn the pages, you know, with your free hands while you enjoy your beverage. And I've actually made it 24% into the book, so right when we're gonna get to Act 2. Bye, suicidal cat. Anyway, I have made it to Act 2, Slings and Arrows, so I thought it would be a great time now for me to tell you my remaining thoughts on the first act. And I've been taking notes on my phone, which is great because I recently bought a Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, I think it is, and you get like a pen so you can actually write down your notes on your phone, which is amazing. I don't like typing my notes on books, my thoughts, but I like writing them on a notebook. So I feel like now I can do it on my phone and I don't have to waste paper and I have my thoughts anywhere I go. So bless this phone. So anyway, let's get back to the book. That's where you're here for. So we get to know a little bit more about Mason, his friends, Jennifer, whom he has a crush on, and you get to see them, you know, enjoying life. They are young, they are driving, and then the police stops them. It's something they're used to because Jennifer always ignores the speed limits and she normally gets tickets from the police. So they stop, thinking it's another control. She might get another ticket, whatever, you know, same old, same old. But then the police starts to act weird and they realize way too late that it might be not the police. Anyway, they get kidnapped by these people that are posing as the police, but they manage to escape. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of the plot without too many details. So they manage to escape. They go back to Mason's house and they find that Rose is actually talking to Mr. Grimshaw. Mr. Grimshaw is the guy that gave the Bible to Mason. So they are warned that there's something coming for them, and in fact some people or something evil that looks like people come into the house for them and they decide to run away. Mr. Grimshaw takes with him Mason and they run to a different city, and Mr. Grimshaw, that would like to be addressed as Grim, which I think is really cute and fitting, he explained that it is true that he is part of the church and they are called the Holy Order, and they basically study things that could be considered occult things, which I'm here for. And he also tells Mason that he is, wait for it, the Messiah, the chosen one. And Mason doesn't know what to do about this, you know, with this information. He's like, bruh, I don't believe in this religion. I don't believe in a God. I don't believe in a savior. And now you're telling me I'm the Messiah? Like, you're tripping? I think you got things wrong. This cannot be the truth. Like, stop it now. But then he thinks back on his life, and when he was a kid, there was a big earthquake where he was living with his parents, and everybody died like in a wide radius where the quake hit. But he was the only survivor, and since then he was feeling survival guilt, and now also his friends, his grandma, everybody got in danger because of him. So apparently something is coming for him and he always ends up escaping. So he starts to wonder if there is actually some sort of evil coming for him. He doesn't think that he is per se the Messiah, but he does start to wonder if there is a little bit of truth on all of this. He talks about, you know, how monsters are not supposed to exist. Like when you're a kid, they tell you monsters don't exist, but now you're an adult and basically there is this guy coming for you. There is this evil guy that they have called Novak. We don't know much about him, but apparently Novak realized that there was one survivor from this earthquake that he apparently planned, and because there was one survivor, he needs to finish the business, he needs to finish the job, so now that's why he's coming for Mason. So we have here some sort of forces of evil coming for him. Is he really the Messiah? And will he end up having to do something to save them all? I'm not sure. It sounds like a very interesting religious horror, and I know that the trope of the savior, the Messiah, the chosen one is a trope that has been done before. The chosen one is also something that is not only a trope from horror, it's a very big trope in fantasy. There is always somebody that comes to save the day, that has special powers, all of that. It's always interesting, especially in this case, because we have someone that doesn't believe in religion, that doesn't believe in any of that, and now he's been told he's a chosen one. So will he be able to step up to the job? Will he just leave everybody else to die and be like, sorry, I'm out? I don't know. It's interesting. It's really easy to read. The chapters are not too long, which I really appreciate. For a book that is so long, like almost 500 pages, I really appreciate that the chapters are kind of short. What I mean by that is that some chapters are short and then there's others that are literally like 2 pages. So that helps a lot with the pacing, and because we got like a quick introduction to the character, enough to make us care, to make us know him as a person, and then we jumped straight to the action, and then we've been just like action and reveals and cool stuff happening. It's been quite engaging, so I'm actually enjoying this more than I anticipated. I didn't know what to expect from this book because I also have never heard people talking about it. Have we all been sleeping on this book? I think that's going to be my conclusion, that we've all been sleeping on this. So I appreciate a lot that Sharon recommended this one to me. I know she really loves the book. There's also some British slang that I know because of Red, White, and Royal Blue. Because there is a really fun video of Nick and Taylor where they have to figure out some slang words. And one of the British slang things that they used in the video was having a chin wag. And thanks to that video, I know that that means having a conversation with someone. So it's funny to see, it was very funny for me to see it in this book because I was like, I know what it means. Because sometimes slang in books, you know, when English is not your first language, sometimes there's a couple of words that I might not completely understand, or that I can figure out from context, or that I will have to look up. So it was fun to find that and actually knowing what it means. Thanks to Red, White, and Royal Blue. So, you know, all of my research, all of my obsession with that movie, which still continues, fear not, you know, it's also teaching me so much. But anyways, it is time for me to now relax a little bit, have dinner, and I'll try to read a little bit more before bed, and I will catch up with you guys once I have finished Act 2. You guys, I have the next update on Miracle Sin. I was trying to read like incomplete the second act, but I've been reading and reading and the second act doesn't end. So I also don't want to be reading too long today because I have other things to do, but I have made it to 60% in the book already, which is crazy because I just started this yesterday and I've been working. So It also tells you that even though it's a chunky book, it's quite easy to read and fly through, and it is engaging enough to keep me interested. Let me tell you a little bit about the new information that I have. So after Mason has to run away, he's being introduced to these new people that belong to the church, and they have like a church meeting for this organization. But there's not only like priests and people from the church, there is also like people from the police department. So there is, I think, a priest and a bishop and, you know, people from the church, but then you have like a colonel, a lieutenant, like you have people from the police enforcement that are also meeting there. And also a character that I think is a lot of fun, which is a character called Sarah, and I think she's involved a little bit in the occult kind of magic. She's almost kind of like a little witchy that performs some sort of like cleansing rituals and things like that. And I think her character is a lot of fun because she's very like straightforward, and she doesn't have a filter when she speaks, and I like her a lot as a character. So basically, I love that the book is merging ancient traditions with modern stuff, because Mason is introduced to the people but also to their facility. So he gets to see the church with all of the ancient things and all of the religious stuff, but also he gets to see things that they have hidden in the basement, which a lot of the things are kind of like laboratories. They're kind of like places where they perform experiments and they can do like blood tests and everything, and it feels very much like sciencey. So they do a lot of things like with biology and other sciences that you would not expect the church to embrace, right? So I thought that mix was really cool. And what I can tell you about this section of the book is that for the majority of this section, up until now, things are picking up now with the action, but up until now, I would say from 25% to almost like maybe 55%, the majority of that section is basically what I like to call the training kind of montage. You know, in books and movies and TV shows, when there is a chosen one or somebody has to face a new evil and joins a group or whatever, there is a period of time where that character needs to learn the lore, the rules, how to fight certain things, how to defend themselves, how to use weapons, but also a lot of old books and information that is crucial for the battles and stuff. And that's basically what happens in that period of time, and I thought it was very interesting, of course, to me as a reader, because I was learning along with Mason all of these things. But now it's time for me to finish a couple of things for work and have dinner, so I'll see you guys soon with my next update. Time for a quick update before I take a break. I made it 82% into the book, so I'm guessing next time we talk I'm gonna be finished, which is crazy because it would mean that I read this book in 2 days and it's almost 500 pages. Like, what? But like I said, being on my Kindle and also like going through the pages, like turning them with this machine, is helping me reading it faster, so I'm quite happy with it. I do think though it could have been edited down a little bit, and I think part of why I'm really enjoying it and flying through it, it's because normally I do find religious horror to be a little bit dry. I'm guessing it's because religious horror has been done so many times since the beginning of times, especially with the topics of exorcism or possession and stuff like that. I think this one, because it has a slightly different approach to the fight between good and evil, and because there is a lot of detectives and kind of an investigation side to it, that is making the story a lot more dynamic and a lot more entertaining and less boring. I feel like sometimes religious horror can get a little bit like dragging in the middle because you're waiting for things to happen, and in majority of those books it's a very slow burn until the ending where you get to the big climax. So I think like this one is doing a great job, and the big like third act or final act started around 75%, so we're kind of in the last battle against evil. Right now I'm going to take a break from reading and I am going to try to make my own bagels. I've been looking for like a simple bread recipe or a recipe to do something that I could eat with my meals or as a snack, and I found this recipe that is supposed to be very simple, foolproof. We'll see, we'll test that, and it's very simple and you can make I think 8 bagels with that recipe, which is enough for 2 people that live in this house. So I thought I would give it a try today and see how it works out. Pray for me. Normally when I bake it's not bad. Normally I've even made bread from scratch and it was good, but I've never tried to make bagels before, so I don't know what's gonna happen. So I guess we'll see in the next clip, you guys. Roll it.
Now you're gone, where to run? I'll be standing here alone, and no one's here to hold me but you.
While I was waiting for the bagels to cook, I finished the book. I could have done the 8 bagels in one go, but I didn't know if they were going to rise a lot, and I was afraid that they were going to grow a lot and then, you know, all merge with each other. So I decided to make it into 2 batches, so it took a while. So I had time to finish my book, Miracle Sin, and I have to say I am shocked that I read this book in 2 days. Granted, I have had less work this week. It has allowed me to focus a little bit more on my reading, but I guess part of it is also because I didn't expect to enjoy the characters so much. Especially Sarah was one of my favorite characters. Towards the end, there's a lot more of kills and death and all of that, as you would anticipate. Now, let me tell you, there is something I did not enjoy, which was basically animal cruelty / animal death. I'm never up for that. It made me really uncomfortable to read, but it is what it is. I kinda understand why. For me, if you're going to kill or hurt an animal in a book, it has to have a really big purpose. Otherwise, I feel like you should have just skipped it or did something else instead. Like in this one, I feel like we could have done things differently and we would have had the same outcome. I don't think it was per se necessary at all for the story or the characters or whatever. So really uncomfy reading that part. But I was happy with the blood and the gore when it comes to the humans and other evils and monsters. Those I don't care so much about. Sorry, not sorry. So there was some nice gore, some nice blood. I was satisfied when it comes to the horror aspect of the book. I was really interested in the mix between such different subgenres of horror. Like there is thriller aspects even with the detectives and the investigation. You have supernatural evil, you know, like good and evil horror. You have the church and you have the trope of the chosen one all into one mix. So it made the book quite interesting and very different from other religious horror that I had read previously before. So all in all, I think I'm going to give this book between a 3.5 and a 4, and I would definitely recommend it to you guys. There is something that I did not expect this book to have, which I haven't commented on because I think it's a big spoiler, but there is an element that I feel like a lot of people are gonna enjoy. If you want to know, maybe the reviews on Goodreads do reveal it, otherwise send me a DM on Goodreads or Instagram and I'll let you know. But I was pleasantly surprised, so I'm really happy I can keep my friendship. I get why she really enjoyed this book. I think it's really down her alley and it was really dark. It does deal also a lot with grief. It keeps coming back. It's a recurring topic, so I feel like if you have recently lost someone, maybe it's gonna hit you in all the feels. It might even make you cry, because if it's something very recent for you, we do delve a little bit deeper into moving on after big losses in your life and how it has sometimes positive things for you, but also there is a lot of negatives, including you missing that person or feeling like something has been taken away from you and dealing with that absence of that person. So I always enjoy to see grief portrayed in horror books as well, because I feel like it's one of those life horrors, you know, when you lose someone and it's just like devastating. So I love to see that aspect in the book as well. And all in all, like I say, I can definitely recommend this book to you guys. And that was all for today, you guys, and I will see you all back here when July starts.